What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Pretty Girl Progression Podcast. I am your girl, Sherelle. If you are new here, welcome. I hope you stay. And if you have been here before, girl, welcome back. And as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Okay? Now, ladies, I have created something super special for you, which is our free ebook, 10 Tips to Personal Development. We talk about everything from self-love to grounding to a little bit of accountability, and I think you'll really love it. So you can grab that at www.prettygirlprogression.com today. And I've also created a 30-day devotional that you can pick up. Now we have everything from biblical verses to affirmations and a personal message from me to you. And you can always use it to take your own notes, and you'll have an introduction about who I am and Pretty Girl Progression. So it definitely helps support the channel. So really grab one today, okay? Tell a friend to tell a friend. Now, all of that housekeeping out the way, y'all, I have a very special guest. Not only is she a mother, a servant leader, I low-key think she could be my personal therapist, counselor, and she really is a Jill of all trades. You guys give a warm round of applause for Theisea Joseph. T, I always call you T instead of your first name. Did I say your first name right?
You did. Mm-hmm.
Okay, beautiful. Well, welcome, love. Y'all, we're not going to fake the funk. This is us attempting part 2 of filming this.
Man.
We're going to get into all the things. So let's jump straight into it. Me and T know each other by the way of our significant others. And I know that you are a life of the party. You're a counselor. And there's so many different things I want to talk about with you. Mm-hmm. So let's just jump straight into it, right? Because I see you as very wise. Let's talk about where are you from, your childhood. What has brought you to this point right now? But let's talk about your childhood. Describe your childhood, where you're from, and all that jazz.
Okay. I was born in Jamaica. I was raised by my grandmother.
Why not the book shots. I know, Lord. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was raised by my grandma. Left Jamaica when I was 16. Lived with my dad in London for a few years. Went back home to Jamaica. Had a whole life there. And then I moved to Florida in 2016, I think. Yeah, 2016.
Okay, well, tell us about life in London.
It was different. And I say different because it was such a weird space for me. Mm-hmm. Transitioning from being coddled by my grandmother for years and then being somebody who was expected to be independent in this new country, this big place where no one really talks to each other like that. The weather is gloomy. I'm used to my sunshine, used to friendly people, used to talking to your neighbors. Now you're here, you barely get a good morning. Everyone keeps to themselves. So it was like a culture shock for me. For the most part, it took me about a year and a half to adjust. Then, I guess because my siblings were also there, it made the transition a little bit easier. And then I met a lot of Jamaicans who understood what I was going through. So even to today, my best friend still lives she lives in England. She doesn't live in London anymore. But she was one of the persons who actually helped me through the process of readjusting and talking me through that first year where depression was a thing, wanting to go home, doing the whole, going through the motions. She was very pivotal in that aspect of it. But
how many siblings do you have?
I'm sorry?
How many siblings do you have?
I have one sister and 3 brothers.
Oh, what's it like being having multiples? Because I have 3 brothers and a sister. Like, what's it like for you?
It's not all giggles and fun. Okay. And I'm the eldest, so a lot of the parenting comes from me. I want to say over the years or relationships, the different ones, like my sister is very clingy to me. She's always been like that, but now it's as a woman, it's a little bit different because now she's a mother and she will call me for advice and we'll talk through
Mm-hmm.
situations. I'm big on co-parenting. That's one of my biggest
Yeah.
things. I believe in that. So I'm able to talk her through a lot of things. My brothers, they're a little bit more hard-headed,
Mm-hmm. I
but
do.
I can tell you this, even though they're men, they've never disrespected me. And sometimes I do go hard because I want what's best for you. And I'm never going to advise you wrong, basically. So when I get upset, I'll get upset and I'll be harsh. And they tend to just kind of like avoid me for a little bit. And then they come back
Yeah.
around because they're like, I can't do it in this
Mm-hmm.
space. But
Yeah.
in terms of relationships, they love their sister. And I love
I
them
know
just
that's
the same.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, standing on business with them.
they be having my back.
Okay, that's what they're there for. Okay. Speaking of co-parenting, I admire you so much because you co-parent so well, and you also bring a lot of like tools and resources to your family and bringing people together. And I kind of want to talk about that. How are you, or what was the process like for saying, okay, I fell in love, I love this man, he has a child. How do you now insert yourself and with the new child, as a bonus mom, as well as dealing with the actual mom? Like, how did you process that whole from the beginning? How did you process now
Um,
being thrown into a co-parent relationship?
it wasn't a difficult space for me, to be honest, because I always knew what I wanted for my space, for my home. I was never ever not clear on what my expectations were. So when I met him, it was more of like conversation. What's going on your end? I also have a child. I also co-parent. This is what it's like on my end. What do you think you can do to make the situation a little bit better? Not just for the adults, but more for the child, basically, because
Right.
that's my biggest thing. I love children.
Yeah.
Mm. For me, every child deserves love. So whether you are
Absolutely.
from me or not, once you're a child and you're in my space, the treatment is the same as I would treat my own.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I've always been, and that's how I am today. So when I met her for the first time, it was kind of, it wasn't nerve wracking, but it was kind of weird. Because girls and
Mm-hmm.
their dad.
Yeah, for
See,
sure.
and you could see, like when she looks at him, you could see the love and the admiration. And she used to just look at him with those puppy, and she used to just, uh, that was the
Yeah.
kind of, and I'm like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to
But
be a transition.
yeah, for sure. Dealing with girls too, but I think you've done a beautiful job. Let's talk about one of the techniques that I got to hear you explain, which is, the circle, talking to everybody, understanding each other's feelings. Explain that. Explain that like tool that you use for your family to express how
Right.
they feel.
So I didn't grow up in a house where we communicated.
Me too,
Everything was
girl.
a secret. You are supposed to be seen and not heard as a child. Caribbean household, you know how that is. My grandma
Mm-hmm.
is extremely old school, so everything, like, you don't talk about that. You hear something, you definitely don't repeat it. Your feelings are hurt, you figure it out. That's what it was. You don't express anything. So back in the day, it used to bother me. So when I got a little bit older, I kind of like pushed back a little bit, where everything that she would say, as long as I questioned it, I wouldn't do it wholeheartedly. So when I went back to Jamaica after London, after finding my quote unquote independence, there were little things that I would do to kind of like change the narrative, so to speak, or change the dynamic of the relationships that I was having at the time. And I
Mm-hmm.
always knew when I had my first daughter in 2009, I always would encourage her to talk to me. So even when she started school, tell me what's going on. Once you tell me, I will be able to have your back at all costs. Once you tell me, I can fix anything. So I gave her that reassurance from before she went to school. When she went to school, I showed her that I can fix everything. So she felt
Mm.
comfortable sharing. So when I came into this space with similar parenting styles to my grandma and I saw the breakdown, so to speak, or the difference, it kind of threw me back. And I was adamant that this is not going to happen, not under my watch. I have to fix this. And I
Yeah,
think like
wow.
that was one of my things too. I like to fix.
So explain what it is exactly. So now, because from what I'm hearing, you have your daughter, you've already shown her what's it like to trust you, to come to you, and you've allowed your actions to back up what you said to her. Now
Mhm.
you're in this relationship, now you're a bonus mom, and you said it was a little pushback. It was a little hold on.
Yeah.
But you also said, like Ayana, not on my watch. Okay. You was giving that. So
Yeah.
what tools did you like?
Man.
Explain what it is to be around the circle or whatever in the room. It doesn't have to be like circle, but
Right.
explaining that concept of having that open communication and no one interrupting.
All right. So it actually is something that I started, I want to say, a year and a half ago. So not
Mm-hmm.
January that just passed, the one in 2023. Yeah. So that New Year's Day, the families came together. So my in-laws came over and all of that. And I was just in the kitchen cooking. You know, I always be in the kitchen. So I'm in the kitchen cooking,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just a thought that came up because I saw the different relationships around me struggling. Mother-daughter relationship, husband and wife relationship, mother-son relationship, cousin relationship, sisters relationship. So it was, okay, I don't want this for me. I want us to be able to have family vacations, want to be on the family vacations. You want the matching shirts because I'm big on that. I like dressing like my girls. Like, I want us to all be dressing alike like you. I want you to know that they
Yeah.
belong to me, kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
when we started that thing, it started a little bit rocky because we didn't really know how to be vulnerable. So in like I kind of trust people in my family with my feelings. But I realized that it was a struggle for other people. So I had to create that safe space. So the safe space came with me telling them that you just have to sit in whatever it is that the person is saying. You have to be able to listen. Because I feel like when people say communication, they feel like, oh, it's all about talking. It really isn't just about talking. You have to be able to listen too. So when we did our circle, everyone got a chance to tell the person what they saw in them that was good and what they think they can fix. Now I can share what my mother-in-law said about me because
Okay.
I got like everybody had something to say, right?
Ooh,
Even
I
though
like
I'm
this one. The
so nice.
mother-in-law. Let us know. Let us know what the mother-in-law said. Okay. All the girls want to know what the mother-in-law said. Let's talk
My
about it.
mother-in-law doesn't love me. But yeah, so she her negative about me was that I work too hard. I need to take some time for myself. She don't feel like I did
Mm.
enough self-care. And it took me back because I'm like, self-care? I have three girls. What are you talking about? I'm a full-time student. I work full-time. I'm taking I'm married to your
But none
son.
of that sounds like nothing sounds like self-care though. None of that sounds like self-care.
I know, but I'm like, where am I gonna find the time to do all that? Like,
Right.
where?
Mhm.
So at first I was
Mhm.
kind of like pushing back and I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna find the time to do all that. Like, you're telling me, oh, go get a massage. My self-care is to go get my nails done and ever so often get my hair done. Like, that's been my thing. So when she said it, it kind of put me into that space where I also started to self-evaluate because I never saw it as a problem. I just felt like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do as a mother. You're supposed to make sure that the kids
Mm.
are okay. So upon talking a little bit more about it, I ended up doing something for myself. In
What?
October, I took a trip to Jamaica by myself. I left the children with their father, and I went away for a week.
Is
Did a
that when you
whole
came back with
resort.
them patties? Yes, girl. I know that's right.
Yeah, I went by
What?
myself, and I went to a resort, and it was so weird for me because I
Oh my
always have I'm
goodness.
always with them. They're always
Yeah.
with me. So it was
How
weird.
exhilarating was that though? Like, how exhilarating was that?
How said it again?
How exhilarating was that? What was the experience
It
like?
was
You're
so
taking a
weird.
whole personal trip for yourself.
It was weird. It was weird traveling by myself. It was
Hmm.
weird being in a room by myself. There was no mommy, mommy, mommy. There was nothing. It was just silence.
Yeah.
I had all my devotions on the beach. I got up when I felt like it. I when I felt like it. It was so exhilarating.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm
You
like,
know,
I
I love
needed this
that you,
recharge. It was
yes, I
fun.
love that. I feel like talking about the importance of self care is so PGP. It's like everything has to just rejuvenate you, because we go through so much. I'm not a mama yet, but even going back to like the conversation of how, you're around the circle, you're talking, the importance of sharing, how everything was super secretive back then or still now. And you went from, I mean, you really did a lot. You went from, okay, I'm sharing all this information with my daughter as far as trust. Then you're going into a relationship and you're co-parenting and implementing that. And then in the midst of that, the mother-in-law is telling you that you need some self-care and you take your
You're right.
own trip to Jamaica. Girl, is there ever a balance of self-care and mommyhood though after you did that? Like, do you feel like now you're getting a balance of it or it's just
No.
get it when
What
you
I
can?
promised myself, it's hard. It's hard because I have everyone pulling me in different directions, and I'm trying to be there because
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those moms that I'm going to all the meetings. I make sure that I get clearance from the school board so that I can go in the
Mm-hmm.
schools. I do the conferences. If you need
Yeah.
me to volunteer, I volunteer. And then I have
I love
middle school, high
that.
school, and now I have someone in preschool. So I do I'm a surprise reader at the preschool. So I go in the morning and you don't know it's me and I come in and I just start reading and like it's a whole thing, but I like being present. So I don't mind not being able to do the self-care things all the time.
Yeah.
But I what
Would
I've
you say you mapped this out for yourself? Would you say like this is what you always wanted, when it comes to like your family? No?
because I never wanted children.
Ooh, let's talk about it.
Yeah, no, a
I
lot of
mean,
people didn't know that.
what?
A lot of people when people see me
So
today, they're like, "What?"
what? Okay, so what turned that? What kind of shifted that? Because I'll be
There
there
was no shift.
sometimes.
There was no shift, girl.
No?
I never wanted children because I felt like I didn't have because I didn't grow up with my mom and dad. Those scars kind of like had me thinking a particular way.
Mm.
And then when I got pregnant with Anique, she wasn't planned or anything like that. But throughout that 9 months or the 40 weeks, I had her at 38 weeks. So throughout that time, I was able to kind of like talk myself through. Because when I found out, I cried for a whole week.
Mm.
I was devastated because I'm like, oh my God, my life's going to change. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be the mom that I wanted for myself. How am I going to do this? How am I going to maneuver this new space? This has never been something that I've even thought about. I've never thought about being a mother, worse, being a wife. This has never been a thought. So when I found out, I had to kind of like talk myself through it. And then I decided that, okay, so what I do now is everything that I wanted for myself, I'm going to pour into her. And the things that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really agree with, that I don't feel like it really helped me, I'm going to take it away.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of do that part. And it's still a learning process because I'm still doing that now.
Man, T, this is so interesting because you said you didn't really grow up like with your mother and your father. It was a lot was your grandma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, although my dad, my grandparents raised me, I seen my mom once in a blue. You know, it sounds like you had a fear of like, how are you going to raise your daughter? Like, this is unexpected. Did you ever think about, oh shit, okay, I don't really have this relationship with my parents, but I'm about to be a parent. Am I going to mimic what I experienced with my parent now with my child? Did you ever think of that? Because I think
I,
about that.
I thought the thought. And that was also one of the other reasons why at that point, no, when I actually gave birth was when I decided that I needed my mother's relationship more than ever. So I
Ooh,
wanted it to
let's get
be
into it.
fixed. I had her the morning, and the first thing I did, and this is something that I've never actually talked about either. When I had her, I promised her in that hospital that I will do everything that I can do to make sure that grandma and my relationship is what I always wanted it to be. And I promised her that I will also make an effort into making sure that our relationship is something that will be positive for her and also
Wow.
one of those things that she'll just be happy. She'll
I
just
call
be
that the
happy that
mama shift. That's the mama shift that I hear so many women. I mean, they don't call it the mama shift. I call it the mama shift. But it's like
yeah.
once you give birth, you experience this overwhelming, unconditional love most of the times with to your child, and you just let go of all of the bull, all of the
Because
pettiness,
it starts making sense.
everything.
It makes sense. It's like
Woo.
it's a light bulb effect. So you have the child and you're looking and you're like, oh my God. Like I would make those sacrifices because talking to my mom now at this age, the understanding that I'm getting from the decisions that she made when I was younger, I get it. I understand
Mm-hmm.
why. Because if I was in that space, I would have probably made the same decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where I had her and then it started making sense. The sacrifice. Because at first I didn't see that sacrifice. I thought she was just being selfish. She wanted to live her life.
Yeah.
And she just pawned me off to the next person kind of thing. But
So what was the
yeah,
actual relationship like though between you and your mom to have that like shift? Because again, I've already told you how me and my mom are. So I'm curious, like how did y'all have that shift? And then now giving birth to your baby girl, now you're like, we got to make this right. What
all right.
was
So I resented my mom my entire life.
why though?
Resented. Because she left me.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt like we could have been hungry together. We could have figured it out together. You could have taken me because she lived in London. So my brother that follows me was born in London. So you left me in Jamaica with my grandma. You went with my dad and you had a whole different child and I felt like you forgot me.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So that's the trauma that I had. And then when she would come home and through therapy, I realized that my dislike for surprises came from my mother coming home to Jamaica. And it
Mm.
didn't, I just didn't think about it like that. So when she said, when the therapist said to me, I don't understand because when my husband proposed to me, he went out. He proposed to me on Christmas Day. He made sure both families were here in the one
Period.
house. It was a whole thing. I had singers in the
Yes, as it should
background.
be.
Listen, I had singers in the background. It was a whole thing. And I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. I was more furious that you didn't tell me. You should have told me that you were going to propose so that I could mentally
Oh
prepare
wow.
myself for it. So throughout the therapy, when we did marriage counseling, that's when I realized that I really had a problem. Because the therapist was
Oh
like,
wow.
but that was so sweet. Why would you not be happy? And I'm like, because he didn't give me a heads up. And she's like,
Wow.
let's figure that out. And
Let's
that's when
peel
I
the layers
realized,
back.
yeah, that's when I realized
Wow.
that that's where it came from. My mother would come to Jamaica and not, she would just surprise us. And she would just, I'd come home from school and she would just be there.
So now when you have your daughter, when you make that initial, I guess, conversation with your mom, like, look, I just had a baby girl, we got to get it right. What do we have to do? What did that conversation sound like?
It didn't happen like that at all. When I had her, I told myself that. I never spoke to my mother about it. I
What was
made
the
a
time?
decision.
Like, was it like a year? Was it a few months?
My
Like, how
mother's
are you getting
relationship and
yourself
mine
together?
started to fix 3 years ago. I remember my daughter is 15.
Mm-hmm.
So
But you knew you wanted it.
I was determined that I needed it. I felt like I
Ooh.
needed it because I understood what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I understood as I said, the sacrifices was a big thing that I didn't get initially, but I got it afterwards. And then over the years, my dad used to say, "You two are so alike," and we used to clash with everything. When I moved here, we lived together, and man, it was a
Mm-hmm.
time.
Girl.
Oh my! I was like, "Ugh, I need to leave. This is not my ministry at all.
Okay.
I need to go."
Jeez.
And I did it.
I had the same thing with my mama. I was like, this is too much, especially when she was living with me. This is too much. As much as I really wanted that relationship with her, and as grown as I am, just some things that like is irreplaceable for a mom, you know, like
Yeah.
your heart will always be there somehow, some way. Um, Let me ask you this. Would you consider your child, everything that you went through in your childhood leading up to now, you're a parent, you're a mom, and you saying that you had to basically forgive her. Did you have that conversation with her like, yo, I'm forgiving you for X, Y, and Z, and how did you receive it?
All right. So fast forward, my mother went through cancer a few times, and even through that, the relationship was strange. I feel like as parents, when they do something and they feel responsible, they struggle with forgiving themselves. So your forgiveness means
Yes.
nothing, right? So
Ooh.
even though over the years I tried to do little things, like when I when she turned 50, like I'll make sure that she has like a birthday gift. I'll do extra things that I was trying to kind of like bridge the gap, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But it never actually fixed anything. And then
Wow.
we had to have that conversation where my aunt actually suggested it because I'm extremely close to that particular aunt. She was there for everything. She's the person who poured into me, so I love the color of my skin. She was one of those persons who was just always in the background, kind of like
Yeah.
guiding and advising. So when
Come
I
on.
would call her when I had issues with my mother. She would talk me through a few things, but I didn't feel like she understood. Because I'm like, how would you even get to you and your mom is so close? You have a relationship. This is somebody who's a stranger to me, kind of thing. I never lived with her,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So when we had the conversation, I had to ask her because I would go out of my way. I would make sure that every chemo I'm sitting beside her for the entire treatment. I take her to everything. I would I did all took time off work. I was there for every step of the way, every surgery, everything. Made sure I was
Mm-hmm.
there. And it didn't feel like it was enough.
And do you think that's because she didn't forgive herself,
I know that's
like you
because she didn't
mentioned?
forgive herself. Because when we had the
Mm.
conversation, I had to ask her because at some point I started feeling resentful again. And I'm like, why are we back here? So I said to her, do
T,
you know
you
what?
just
I
taught
have a
me
friend.
something just now. Go ahead. No, finish your sentence. I'm
I said,
having an aha while you're saying this.
I said, I have a question. I said, is it that you just want me to hate you? And
You
she
told that to your
paused.
mama?
Yeah. And she paused. And I said, it doesn't matter what I do. It's like it's never enough. So it's like you want me to hate you so that you can continue hating yourself for leaving me. And she said, yeah, it's true. She actually admitted it. That's when our relationship changed from that conversation.
Wow. I just had an aha moment because, first of all, you saying that they're not forgiving themselves, so nothing that you can do will make it better. When I tell you I feel like I've forgiven my mom, but then I found myself resenting her all over again. I'm like, Lord, I can't catch a break with this woman. And even with my dad. And so my dad lives in the Bahamas. He got deported. And we had a lot of different things happen in my life, okay? And so now he's in the Bahamas, and I feel like he's suffering more because he's battling, alcoholism and his own demons. But I feel like he's suffering more because he just cannot forgive himself, no matter if everyone else around him forgive. And when you said that, I was like, oh.
It's a real
Maybe
thing.
I should really ask them that. Like, have you even forgiven yourself?
Yeah. And do you know what a lot of people don't understand? Forgiveness is not a one-time thing either. Because I heard a lady say it. Sometimes you have to forgive people more than one time for the same act. Not that they did the act more than one
Jeez.
time. The act hurt you so much that you genuinely have to
How
just
you do
keep
that,
forgiving.
T? How
Because
you do that?
listen, let me tell you, I don't feel like I tell my children this at church. I don't think you can be as unforgiving as I was. I was in my 20s, horrible. I was to the point where if I felt like I was forgetting what you did to me, I would write it down so that I remember.
Jeez. You took petty to a new level.
I was I was a mess. And I remember when I got baptized, and that was my biggest struggle. Because by the time I got baptized, I wasn't partying anymore. I wasn't doing anything. But I knew that I struggled with unforgiveness. And I had to how God dealt with me with that was I had to stand up in front of the ministers at my church, in front of the baptismal group, and admit that I don't know how to forgive. And even though they gave me scriptures and they spoke, I got baptized today. I cussed my neighbor out tomorrow, and yeah.
Can we talk about it? Because T, this, oh my God, mouthful. So first of all, congrats on getting baptized, okay? Like that was the first step, okay? But there's no perfect Christians. There's no perfect person. So you might get baptized today and get cussed out tomorrow.
Correct.
Okay, don't be No, what they say? Don't be sorry, be careful. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, I want to talk about this. Since we were talking about faith and God and family and forgiveness and all the things, I really want to dive into fasting and praying because you have experienced miracles within your child, your own personal life and journey. And the thing that constantly is a reminder that I got from someone super special to me. Somebody shared a journal, and it was like, when you pray, not if you pray, or when you fast, not if you fast, right? And I think that is the foundation of a lot, like your foundation in God. Let's talk about that. How important is fasting and praying to you? And you know you got to give us a testimony because, baby, the Lord has been doing things for you.
That's true. Okay, so for me now, at this stage, prayer is like second nature. I pray without knowing that I'm praying. That's how I am right now. Fasting is a little bit more sensitive for me because of how I fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't fast for just about anything. Like it can't be, oh, I I want to pass this class, so I'm gonna fast and pray. Mm.
Okay.
When I want a miraculous move, fast. Because my fasting is locked away closet, literally trying to get the physical part of me out of it and just dealing with the spirit. So I've done different types of fasts over the years. Um, the most extreme one was the Estes fast, which is the 3 days without food, water, nothing. And it's
Bruh.
only 3 days, nothing. Um, that I did with my church at the time in Jamaica. Um, but then I also fast on my own for my baby because
Yeah.
when she was 1.5, she had her first seizure. And it was new to me, never experienced anybody with it, didn't have it in my family. So it was scary, new, all of those things. And at the time when she had it, I wasn't even a Christian at the time, to be honest. I wasn't a Christian when she started having seizures because I became a Christian, yeah, years later. Hmm. A while later, to be honest. And she had it for the entire time. And I did a 7-day fast for her. And I remember it was different things happening. But the last thing that happened was she had a seizure that lasted over 20 minutes.
Wow.
When I took her to the neurologist, because at the time she had her personal
That sounds like a
neurologist, she
lifetime.
had her pediatrician, I had a team working with because I needed to know
Mm-hmm.
what was going on with my baby. And when I went to the neurologist, she was like, I remember that doctor, her name was Dr. Tapper, one of the only pediatric neurologists in Jamaica. And I remember she said to me, she'll get over the hump, but she will be so brain damaged that she will have learning disabilities. She won't be able to really function in the quote unquote normal school system. I went home and I cried and I said the lie. I
I
said,
know
not my
that's right.
baby. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And I went into a 7-day fast. And
Wow.
that fast was weird because at the time I was a new Christian and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really understand what it was in terms of I didn't know how to do it correctly, so to speak. So
Mm-hmm.
what I
So
did
what did it
was
look like for you? What did it look like for you when you a new Christian?
it
And
was
I'm just
kind of
I'm
weird.
just smiling hard like this because when I was a new Christian, I tell you, it was like, you don't love God? What's wrong with you? What you mean? Like every down to the T, I was rebuking the ant for coming on my foot. I was doing the most.
See, and I was a
What did
little
it
bit
look like for
shy. I
you?
was shy. So what I did was I wrote down all my things. I got a corner in an
Okay.
empty bedroom. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, I told everyone, do not go in my corner. That's my prayer corner. I don't want no one touching my stuff. I had a little table with my Bible, and then I had like post-it notes, and I like pretty. So I had like different colors, and I had different scriptures and what this scripture meant or what I wanted it to be assigned to. So everything
Mm-hmm.
I was just all over the wall. All over the wall. But then when it came to the prayer, I'm like, I don't even have no experience to say, God, remember I did this? Remember, I had to pull on my grandma. I'm like, my grandma's been a Christian all my life. She's been praying for me. Girl, an entire mess. But I can say, since that day, she had a seizure one time after that. And immediately I said, lie. That's one of the things that I keep saying now. I said, why is the devil doing this? Why is he whispering in my ear that the promise isn't real? Don't do that. And I was like, no. I know what the promise is. I know who it belongs to. And I know that she is a promise. So
Yes.
I know she'll be okay. That was the last time she ever had a seizure. And Nick's been on honor roll. She's done
Amen.
every single thing you can think of. She was valedictorian when she was leaving her
Come
school in
on.
Jamaica. She's
And
a
you know what
real.
it was?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say what it was is God blessing the effort. You didn't know nothing. Although
At
you
all.
had your grandma there, you praying everything down since you was a child. And ain't that interesting how, you can have an elder right there praying you down side by side, and then you grow up and you kind of like, dang, I don't know what to do.
At
When
all.
you had the teacher right
No.
there, the master teacher right there.
My
Ain't
grandma's been
that
a Christian my
interesting?
entire life. And then my other grandma, so that's my mom's mom. My other grandma was a prayer mother at church, the same church. So my grandparents be in this church thing for a long time, and I just didn't know how to pray.
Can I ask you, what do you consider an elder to be? Because we have older people in our family. We have older aunties, grandparents, obviously. But when you hear the word elder, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you?
All right, so when I hear that word, I don't think age. I think spiritual growth. So for me, when I hear it, I am thinking, okay, you done gone through some things. You have some testimonies that you're walking around with in your pocket. You have lessons that I can learn from you. Like it's a whole. You're just a box of goodness
Yes,
kind
yes,
of
yes,
thing
yes, yes,
because
yes.
of so much of all the things that you've experienced throughout your time living or trying to live the Christian life. So that's what clicks when I hear that word. Because for me, I don't
Yeah.
even use elder in my family like that. It's always Christian based for me.
Because, sometimes we have, like I said, older people. But when I think about it, I'm like, man, it's really rare to find elders. Like, I believe you would be an elder when you age, gracefully. Like, you have
You
that
think so?
wisdom behind you. Abso-freaking-lutely. Because even right now, you have so much wisdom. You have so much experience. You have a comfort about yourself, Like, I could easily sit here and drink a whole bottle of wine and have a conversation, okay, and
Right.
cry, okay? So, yes, all of that. Like, I want to talk about like your service within the church, being a servant leader. When you hear servant leader and being in the church, people get a little nervous. They don't know what to expect. A lot of people have church hurt. Like, what has been your experience being a servant leader within your church?
All right. So that was a prophecy that happened. That was actually prophesied over my life years ago. That I never saw it coming to fruition. Like it wasn't something that I was actively trying to do. And it actually happened by default, if I'm going to be honest. Well, not default, because I know that
Well, let's talk about it.
I know that God done organized all that thing and put everything in place. However,
Every detail the Lord
there
has
was no
set.
way it could be anybody else but Him. And that's the thing with
I'm
me and
telling
Him.
you.
That's a relationship that we have. Because He knows. For me, it has to be something that is going to be so different that I know it's you. Because
Yeah.
anything else, I'm going to be looking sideways. That's not mine.
For sure. For sure.
So He knows me well
Yes.
enough to know that it has to be one of them ones. So
Girl.
after COVID, the pastor at my church asked me if I could just take the kids until we could figure out what was going on when everybody started coming back to church. And that's how it happened. Like literally. He just asked me one
So
Sunday.
you didn't have any first of all, were you already going to the church?
Yeah.
And then it
So,
kind of just, okay, you was already going to the church.
Yeah, so I was already going to the church, and I was kind of helping out with like the praise dance because I'm a little bit sterner than the average person. I think that comes from my Caribbean background. So for me, I speak one time. Once. You get one time. That's it. And all the children around me know this. You get one time.
Girl, the adults know this too. The adults know this too.
You get one time. So I helped out with the praise dances initially. So I would like tell them, okay, guys, come. I need you guys for rehearsal on a Saturday, and I'll like do little things with them. Like, and it wasn't anything big or anything consistent because it wasn't like I had a dance troupe and they were doing praise dances and they were going to be dancing every Sunday or anything like that. It was like special occasion kind of thing. Because my eldest came up here from a church that she was always active in. So she was a member of the children's choir in Jamaica, and she would do like big, they would do a big production at Christmas time. And then they would have like, for Youth Sunday, they would have like a dance here and there, songs here and there. So when she came, she was like, what's going on? Why is there no dancing? And that's how that started. So she came and she asked, and she said, oh, can we do a dance? And at the time, Miss Vicky was like, yeah, of course. Go ahead. Let me see what you can do. And she kind of like got a group together and they started. The church had a praise team or a praise dance team. But I think everybody kind of grew up or went off to college or something like that. So there was kind of like a gap. So she came back and she asked and they did it. And then for some random reason, somebody asked me to help out one day. I helped out. And then I started doing that. And then the Sunday happened with the pastor after COVID. And then the rest is history. Now I have...
It makes sense though.
Huh? It makes sense?
It makes sense because, you know, even you talking about how you just always wanted to be there for your kids and like everything that they're doing. So whether you on the PTA, you dropping off cookies, you doing a fish fry that's coming up, all the things, like it makes sense.
Doing the most. My daughter will tell you, my mommy does the most. See,
I love that though.
The security at school knows me. Because I be there.
I love that. So let me ask you this. Y'all don't know because I didn't mention it, but you have a YouTube. You're a fellow YouTuber. Y'all have a cooking show on your YouTube channel. Yes. Was that intentional to like bring family together, or was it just something that you and hubby like to do? How'd that come into
so
play?
How that started, First
of all, shout out your YouTube page.
I'm sorry?
Shout out to your YouTube channel.
Oh, it's called Our Blended Family. But you can search June and T+3, right?
Yes.
And you'll find us. And we have like a very nice family-oriented intro. My husband is a photographer, so he be doing the most. So yeah.
Yes. Heavily media production.
Heavenly media productions, right? So with that, what used to happen was I would cook, and then I'll put it on my WhatsApp. Just to kind of like share. And then I had like my friends from London asking me how to cook this. I had people from America. I had people reaching out to me different times from different countries. How do you do this? How do you do that? Can you show me a video of how to do that? So my husband heard like people asking me, and I would take the calls and I would be on the phone talking them through how to make fried dumplings. And I'd say, okay, put this, put that. And I'd be on video calls saying, okay, no, you put too much of that kind of thing. And he was like, why don't we just do YouTube? And I'm like, who will be sitting in front of a camera? You know I'm not about that life. I'm not about... It took a while. So what he did was, he ended up calling me out in my Bible study group.
Oh, first of all, you know you wrong for bringing family business to the Bible study group. Okay.
See, now the Bible study group is like a family, right? And they tend to hold...
It is, but... Gloves are off when you bring it to the Bible study. What happened?
So he brought it to Bible study, and he was like, oh, we're going to do it. And everybody's like, yeah, go ahead.
Exactly, because you don't get no support like you get with the Bible study group. Okay, the
Listen,
support
the
is
weeks came along and they were
unmatched.
asking, when is the channel started? Did you guys start the channel
Mm-hmm.
yet? And I'm like, guys, he just said that last week.
Mm-hmm.
Give us
Don't play. Don't
what?
play. Once it goes to the Bible study group, it is a wrap. They holding you accountable. They
Yep.
checking in every week. They are saying, hey, we see you're in the room. We're praying for your sister. Okay,
Yep.
to get the channel up. All the things.
Listen to me. Great support system. I don't regret being part. Like,
Absolutely.
it's such a good feeling to find
Mm-hmm.
like-minded people that are so supportive. And that's
Yes.
the thing. They feel like once you say you want to do something, it's never too big. They're like, yeah, you can do it. Yeah. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
there's
And
no doubt in
ultimately,
your mind.
that's the type of energy and frequency we need to stay on right there. Like that kind of unconditional support. I remember posting in the group chat about hitting 1,000 subscribers. The love was so beautiful. Even posting the daily devotional and having folks purchase it. It's like, dang, ain't
Yeah.
no support like,
The
your
Bible study group
faith-based support.
is it. I
Ooh,
can
I'm
I can
telling
honestly
you.
say that. But that's how it started. And I've had people like even now, I took a break from it because school started to get a little bit difficult. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to juggle being a full-time student, plus dealing with all the girls, doing all the things. So it kind of like got pushed to the side. But then my husband decided that he can cook too. So he started
For
doing the
sure.
videos. I'm like, I like
Mm-hmm.
that for us. I like that. So now the girls are like, oh,
Yeah.
can we do games? Can we do this? Can we do talks? They want to bring the talking to the channel. And I'm like, guys, I don't think the internet is ready for us like that. Because we be going in on it. We be going in.
But the internet would love you, like straight up. First of all, good food, good laughs, family, and there's a niche for that. Like, there's a niche for that. Because you know what I really want to do? And I was just telling my man that I was like, I want to shoot videos of me doing reviews, like on Tyler Perry's, specifically Tyler Perry movies.
Okay.
Because I just watched that Megan Good and
Mm-hmm.
Corey
I saw it
Hardwick
too.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, was you not up in there? I was leaning in on the camera. I was pacing up and down. I was like, I know you lying. And then it just took some turns.
Listen.
And I said, if I was a fly on the wall watching me right now talk out loud the way I am to this screen, it would be a hit. So that's what I kind of want to do. I want to like do reviews, but Tyler Perry, because the budget is budgeting, Mr. Tyler Perry.
Right.
Budget is budgeting. Yeah, girl.
I
So
can
do
see
that.
that. I
Shoot
can
that
see that.
content.
I can see
Could
that.
you?
I,
Say that louder so my
I
man
can.
can hear, okay?
I can see you doing that. You're so confident in front of the screen, so I can see it working. I can see it. Like for me, I feel like I'm so reckless that I can't have the camera running like that because people could be
Oh.
looking like.
Well, the bonus thing is you can always edit. You can always edit. You can always bleep. You could always cut out. So make it into your favor. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So T, last question. I always talk about pretty girl progression and what it means to me and what I've been doing with pretty girl progression. But when you hear pretty girl progression, hashtag pretty girl progression, y'all, hashtag, what does pretty girl progression mean to you or what does it feel like to you?
All right, so when I first encountered Pretty Girl Progression, initially, because I didn't know what it was, I took it for what it says. And for me, it meant just women encouraging each other, women encouraging each other to progress, to just. Okay, so because I struggle with being, what's that word that I don't like? Spontaneous.
Yeah.
Right? Everything kind of goes from that word for me. So when I see when I hear the name, it's just about women coming out of their shell, owning who they are, and just progressing as women, encouraging each other, having a good time, just all the good stuff that women tend to bring to the table. And I don't feel like we get enough. We don't encourage each other enough, so to speak. We don't support each other enough. And I feel like this is what Pretty Girl Progression will actually encourage: motivation, encouragement, all that for just our sisters.
Yeah, and you know what? It is true, but I have to say something. Like we don't support each other enough. We don't encourage each other enough. Although it's out there, don't
Yeah.
get it twisted. There's a lot more light than darkness. But
Right.
I feel like, first of all, I strongly dislike the women empowerment, right? Because I feel like the women empowerment seems to be like super phony. Oh, we're just gonna go into this room and do a little kumbaya and
Mm-hmm.
and have a bunch of mimosas and maybe talk a little bit about our trials and tribulations and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, but nothing really sticks after that. For Pretty Girl Progression, it's like, no, you made the decision to want better for yourself. You want to be surrounded by people who are moving forward and being forward
Right.
thinkers and the thinking that outthink yours. It ain't just about no physical beauty. You think about the wrong thing. It's about personal, internal, who you are, your aura, and the girl is just to like honor the inner child within us all. You got to come out and play with her.
That's
So
important. Yeah.
yes, it really is. So I just had to say that. Thank you for that. T, what else do you want to leave the people with when we wrap up? Like, what do you feel like women should hear that they need to hear? Maybe give them a little gem to walk away with. What's something that you kind of live by that you could pass on?
All right. So the other day I started thinking about what I would tell the 7-year-old me if I could go
Okay.
back and talk to the 7-year-old me. That little girl
Mm-hmm.
who just longed for her parents to be at a parent teachers meeting. The little girl who
Mm-hmm.
felt so unheard. I was seen, but I felt unheard because I always felt like I wanted to have a voice and just wasn't able to have one. And I've been thinking about it, so I started journaling because of that. Um, but I feel like I would like to say to the women that you are enough. And it will work out if you do the work. It will work out if you do the work. As long as you stay consistent, as long as you be honest, and as long as you figure out how to forgive, like genuinely forgive, you will you will blossom in that beautiful flower that you know you can be and that you want to be. Because I feel like all of us walk around with all this hurt and resentment, but as soon as we figure out how to channel it in a positive way, it just it's like a snowball effect.
Absolutely.
It just works and everything just clicks and makes
Yeah.
sense. So that's probably what I would say.
I love that. I absolutely, girl, you about to have me cry up in this bed. Thank you for that, T. Thank you. Y'all, I'm gonna put all of T's description or links in the description. Let the people know where they can find you, support you.
All right. So I actually do a lot of things. I am very artsy. So I do have a business that I'm starting, Anointed Designs. T-shirts, cups, all kind of printry kind of thing.
And I just hit you up today about designs.
Yeah, you did.
Wow. Okay, anointed designs. Yes.
Anointed Designs. Um I'm on all platforms, well, not Facebook, but everything else as officially underscore Mrs. underscore T. And then on Facebook, I'm just my normal government. But yeah,
Wow.
that's it. And then you can go on the channel. Just to see the cooking and hear me talk about how I don't use measurements and all that good stuff. I just be cooking.
Yes, give it to us how it is. Y'all, again, show T some love. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to have a round two conversation because anointed, hello, we got to talk about your artsy side, okay? I know about, but we're going to pick that up another time for sure. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you go to prettygirlprogression.com if you're looking for any resources and tools. And as always, Queen, love yourself.
Bye.